Hello and welcome to Coffee and Bonsai with Tom. Today we're going to be pruning some of my smaller Crassula ovata. I'm going to start with this one. This is an interesting tree. You can check the playlist. Believe it or not, this thing was a cascade at one point, and I have been trying to get it to be a cascade, and it just has absolutely no interest in that style, and it keeps turning upwards. You can see it's a nice, cute little deep pot, which I've lost track even where I got this, but it was down, way down over here. Um, I'll put a link to the video where I pruned this one last, and it's kind of shocking how the style it has just changed its own style. But it's grown quite a bit, and it's time to do some pruning on this tree. So the first thing I like to do is just have a look at it and get some ideas. You know, it's got a nice base on it. I've got some stuff growing in the. I don't want this. I'll just take that off. And think about, well, how do I want to style this? And the tree has convinced me. We're giving up on a. Just get some dead stuff in here. We're giving up on the cascade or semi-cascade style because I'm tired of continuing to browbeat the tree plant into doing that. And it has a nice kind of swooping up curve here. You can see this. I mean, it's kind of boring with this long section, but it's got a nice kind of lean forward, and I have some branches I can work with here. Um, and it's not a bad height. It obviously needs a different pot. I don't think this deep pot is okay for it anymore. But if I look at this, I've got options here. I could go with this as a branch or a new leader. That would give it a nice taper, and it's got kind of an interesting trunk up to that point. But I've got definitely, I could go with this. It'd be a nice top. Got back branches, side branches, a lot of options. But I think I kind of want, my view for this is I want something I'm really going to enjoy. And so, sometimes you have to just hit the reset button on that. I'm going to try this and see what I think. I think that's a lot better. Honestly, look, the trunk is way more substantial now. When you look at the rest of the tree and look at the red tips on the leaves, these Crassula ovata really like that indoor area that I keep them in under lights in the winter, and I think I'm going to go even further, going right down to regrow the top and the entire tree, and I'm just going to smooth this out. And a lot of folks, I don't know, they don't really appreciate when I do this kind of pruning, but I don't know. I have been rewarded time and time again when I do pruning that really takes me down to something. I can eventually carve that, but I think we'll let this go for now. Also, if it thickens out, it kind of smooths these jades smooth themselves out fairly quickly. But yeah, sometimes people are shocked by the pruning, but I mean, I found it works like almost every time, maybe every time. And there's not much more we can do with this. I think I'm going to let the top grow, and this is probably the front. I love how you see the base, and it kind of you get some taper there, and I mean the bark's even starting to get the trunk's starting to get some bark and character. So not a lot to look at here in the in the victory lap. Uh, but I'll let this recover a bit, and then I will find a better pot for it. Um, but for now, we'll just let it grow. And, we went from a cascade to an upright tree, and I think it's quite an improvement. So hopefully this tree's happy with the new direction that I am setting for it. So the next little jade is this one. Same thing. Chiller area, grew kind of all winter. It's really grown a lot. Yeah, not particularly happy with it. You know, it's got kind of an interesting base. It's certainly chunky, but then, um, there's not much of it that's all that interesting to me. And so I think I'm going to give it a similar treatment as the last one. Really cut it back to basics and regrow. And I find, I get more branching down lower and I get more taper and it's more compact and it just looks better. I'm going to start by, um, just kind of shortening it a bit and then see what I think of that and then go from there, which is what I oftentimes do if I'm not completely sure that I want to hit the reset button on the plant. This is interesting. I've already got some branching this way and out here, but the thing I don't like about it is this long, um, kind of uninteresting section with no movement here, which, I mean, it could work. It's typically, if you look at the trunk segment and then the next segment's a bit longer and then I could grow out this top. It would be fine just to kind of keep growing this tree out in this direction. But I don't really have a lot invested in this at this point, and I'd rather go for something that I really, really like rather than something that, you know, uh, is something that I feel is just taking up space on the bench. Um, so I'm thinking about really cutting this back and then just seeing where we go from there. Because it, definitely has some options here. If I look at, I've got the branch on the side, I've got this. I'm going to take this off here because I feel like I've got a branch right there. And uh, I mean, already I find this, it's certainly no great tree, but this is quite a bit more charming than what I had. And I'm also going to take this off and just work with this branch out the side and do a little carving on this bit in the middle. And I mean, you can't get much more structural than that. I think, you know, I think I've used this thought for the day in the past, but bonsai is often about taking one, two, three, four, 5 steps back in order to go a few forward. And I'm just gonna kind of I find the this concave cutter works great to just smooth this off. And these within like a few months, usually if you let these grow, you can barely tell you've even done this. Um, but yeah, I mean, sometimes you have to take some steps back in order to move forward. And, you know, this is not a great looking specimen right now by any means, but, let's give it until midsummer and we'll come back and look at it again. And, you know, I think it'll have much more potential than it had before we started pruning. And it's in a cute little white pot, and we'll just let that one grow. So my next tiny little problematic jade is this one. It's in a tiny little, I think I'm not remembering his name, Iger, I think. He's a potter out of Ohio and just makes these really charming pots. This is a yellow one. I think goes well with the green. And, this one's already, the leaves have gotten smaller. This is like a 3-inch pot. It's pretty small. Um, the jade is healthy and it really just needs some thinning. And so I'm just going to start by kind of cutting it back and seeing what I want to do with it. This one is, obviously it grows kind of slowly and small because it's been in this pot for a while. And there's like practically no root room here. And it's just kind of an upright jade. I mean, it was almost like, excuse me, one of those throwaway trees that I couldn't bring myself to throw the cutting away. So I stuck it in here just to see what would happen. And that has just continued because it's it grows and then I cut it back and then it grows. And it's got, obviously, if you look at the segments here, it's got some big segments. Not a lot of movement. Um, but it's got a nice pleasing overall shape. And so I'm just going to cut it back and encourage it to branch a bit further out. I think it needs some more. It's got height, it needs some more width out this way, and I think it could actually be dramatically improved by growing in that direction. So I think what I'm going to do is try to let that lower branch there, you can see it's really just starting out. I'm going to cut the top back pretty hard, although I'm sort of liking the shape of it. So I may just, we'll see. I may thin it out. I think I'll just thin it out a lot, and maybe I'm obviously going to cut away the stuff that's conflicting. But I'm thinking about I may just defoliate the top and let that smaller branch, that first limb grow because, these are like anything, like most plants that they want to grow closest to the sun. I think that improved that a bit. That was kind of poking out at me. And I want that first branch to just kind of go a little crazy so I can get a little width and thickness on it. So it's quite a bit more substantial than it currently is. It's one thing I really appreciate about jades and Crassula ovata is, boy, they thicken up quick if you let something run wild. So yeah, I have decided I'm just going to cut off all the leaves. Um, yeah, we're really getting down to the basic structure here, which I always love. Like this is my favorite process, like because it's sort of like a almost an outline of the tree. Um, and it's like writing, right? If you don't have a good outline, it's not going to come out well. And it's the same with a tree. Like you need a good outline, and so sometimes it's helpful to go right down to the branches, like I'm doing here, and then fill out your outline, right? Uh, Maybe this is the new front. I'm kind of looking at this. I sort of like, I have a few front options, but I kind of like almost like that first branch is sort of a side and back branch, which is kind of interesting. So I am going to take all the leaves off. You can see we've got a little bit of ramification going on here at the top. Which also, when you do this, you get to see that. I just love it. It's so beautiful. And there's not a whole lot more we can do on this one. As I mentioned, I am going to allow that first branch to just grow because I want it to strengthen up. And I think that is pretty much a wrap for this tree currently. And we'll put it back on the bench and let it do its thing. Yeah, it'll be interesting. I think we'll get a next level of ramification there. And I kind of want to finish off by just showing some stuff. This is, again, I had a huge pot of various succulents from Home Depot and couldn't bear to throw them away, so I threw some cuttings in here with this crazy wiring job. And I just love spring. I mean, look at these leaves. Like, everything's so beautiful. These are I think these are Crosby Compact, which I really recommend for bonsai. Jade is bonsai. If you look at these, like, I mean, you get small leaves. They like to just densely grow. The color's beautiful. You get this bright green, various greens with kind of red tinges and red on the underside, and just charming. And I have a few of these. I mean, help me. I feel like I'm going to be creating another jade forest, because I really just look at how beautiful these are. It's just charming to me. And this is kind of what part of being a bonsai hobbyist is all about. Like, you really appreciate like this new growth and vibrancy, and you get changes throughout the year, and even though these are just barely more than a cutting, like, I just find them charming. And so yeah, compact, um, Crosby. Here's a double trunk one, and I really enjoy them, so I highly recommend this variety of Crassula if you can get your hands on it. They're pretty common, I think, and who knows, maybe we'll do a forest with this soon. And with that, I just want to thank you for spending time with me pruning these jades, and I look forward to seeing you all again very, very soon in the near future, and enjoy the spring.